Field Office of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. All incoming calls are subject to recording. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. Please listen to all menu options before making your selection. If you are calling to report a violation of a federal statute, to provide a tip, to report suspicious activity or crime, press 1.
Please hold.
You have reached the FBI's public access line. This call may be recorded or monitored for quality assurance purposes.
Thank you for calling the FBI. Can I get your name, please?
Hi, my name is...
And a good phone number for you, sir?
A phone number?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm calling from China, so the country code is 0086.
How can I help you, sir?
Okay, I'm calling you because I've received an email from the Chicago at ic.fbi.gov to tell me I should call the FBI public access line at 1-800-CALL-FBI to submit further documentation.
Okay.
And I've tried to call this number, and excuse me to say so, but first of all, this phone number, it's just crazy and madness. It's a phone number for major case, and it's impossible to get anyone. Basically, I've tried to call 3 times, and the waiting time is quite long, and there is a horrible noise. And I think you should report this to your supervisor, because the noise is so bad that anyone will hang up quite quickly. And it was still the same horrible sound. I think there's a technical issue, a technical problem on your hotline. Okay, but this is not what I'm calling about. I'm calling regarding a complaint I filed with the FBI, and I wanted to submit further evidence. So I've received an email on December 18th from the Chicago at ic.fbi.gov telling me, dear Mr. Please contact the FBI public access line by calling 1-800-CALL-FBI. Okay, and I answered to this email explaining that basically how can I submit evidence like PDF files and things like this by calling on the phone line. Okay. So this is what I've answered to this email address, and yesterday I've received another email telling me again to call 1-800-CALL-FBI, and it say they can assist you as to where to send your documentation. The problem is that I'm not able to call this hotline because of this issue I'm describing.
Okay. I mean, can you explain to me what's going on, sir? Then that way... There's
Yes,
no way for you to forward those files at this point.
I did file a complaint concerning the McDonald's Corporation, which is based in Illinois, in Oak Grove.
How do you spell that company?
McDonald's, the fast food company.
Oh, McDonald's.
Yes.
Okay.
And I filed a complaint, and I've submitted already a few documents, but I just have too many documents to submit, and I think it would be best if I can submit it directly to the investigator in charge.
If you've already filed your complaint, you would just need to wait to see if you're contacted, sir. I mean, there's no way for you to forward that information at this point. You would forward it after somebody would get in touch with you if we thought we needed it, sir.
Okay, let me ask you a question. So what if I'm never contacted again?
and you're not contacted, sir. But I mean, do you want to tell me what it is that what you're specifically trying to report about the company?
Yes, I'm accusing McDonald's to commit fraud in Europe, and I'm accusing the US office to know about the fraud they are committing in Europe. And I know that I've talked to the Gloria Santana, who is general counsel of McDonald's in Illinois, and I know
Okay.
that one of my email at least was clearly forwarded from Miss Santana to Steve Easterbrook, who is the CEO of McDonald Corporation, and I've warned them many times about the ongoing fraud which was happening in Europe, and it seems they are turning a blind eye to that. And you're going to say maybe that this is a European matter, but I kind of disagree because I accuse them of corrupting a French official. And if they corrupt a French official, in this case, there's violation of the, how is it called? It's a...
Public corruption?
Yes, Foreign Corrupt Practice Act. That's it. The Foreign Corrupt Practice Act. So, and on top of this, there are like, once you start with one violation, it's like a domino effect. There are multiple violations which are following, like the failure to warn the investors, the people who invest in the McDonald's stocks in the stock exchange, and then it becomes endless, basically. But this is a serious case. I have lots of documents I wanted to submit because I do want a criminal investigation to be open in this case.
Okay. I mean, what specifically are they doing? What have they done?
Okay. Specifically, it's like this. I'll try to explain simply. Maybe you... First of all, let me ask you a simple question. Are you aware about the McDonald's monopoly game in the United States or not?
Yes.
Okay. In the United States, within the regulations of the game, it's written, even though it's not clear at all, it's deep within the rules of the game, it's written that the game is rigged, basically, that you don't have the stickers are not given in equal proportion. So basically, in the United States, it's clearly written that basically you don't have any chance to win. However, within Europe, they have failed to put this notification within the rules. And the result of this is that it's a violation of a European directive, which is the European Directive 2005/29/CE. And it's what we call misleading omission. And by not warning the European consumer that this is not exactly like the Monopoly game, it's actually quite different because it's almost impossible to win, it becomes a fraud in Europe. And because it's a fraud in Europe, this is a serious case. And I've notified the company, and in France, for example, to let such a sweepstakes to go ahead, you must need the approval of a French official. And I've warned the French official in person that the game was rigged. There is a problem. It's against the European legislation. And he's turning a blind eye to this. And by turning a blind eye, it's just like, I don't know exactly how much he's getting paid, but I know that in France, these kind of people who give approvals, he's called a huissier de justice, sometimes they get paid proportionally to what's at stake. So considering that there's lots of money in the McDonald's monopoly, it's of course very beneficial for such a French official to approve this game, even though he knows it's illegal. And this is the problem. So the game, what I'm accusing McDonald's of is that they are making a game in Europe which they clearly know to be illegal and against European legislation.
Then that country needs to take them to court in that country.
At the same time, if there's corruption of a foreign officials, I believe that an investigation should be opened at the same time in the United States. Now, for your information, I want to give you some more information. I did file a criminal complaint with the French prosecutor's office. I did do that.
Okay.
Okay, but you know I'm a French citizen, so I'm kind of embarrassed to tell you this, but the problem is that in France, there is some problem with the legal system. Basically, sometimes they don't take such claims very seriously. They think this way. For example, once I called a policeman and he told me, "Oh, but it's a big corporation. They have lawyers." So in the very first, at the very beginning, they don't even start the investigation. And this is an issue. At the same time, you have to realize that I understand that me personally, I was a victim of this fraud. And I understand that I should take it as a personal victim. I should take the first step I should take is in my country, is in France. And I did take this step. But at the same time, I do believe that the FBI should start an investigation because there are other victims in the United States too. What about the investors, people who invest in McDonald's stocks in the United States and who don't know as of this time, because I've checked, McDonald's should have warned the investor, the potential investors, that there are legal pending issues in Europe regarding this. I don't know if I should say game or fraud. I won't say fraud. And by failing to warn the investors, it's an SEC violation. Do you understand?
I hear you, sir, but I'm not hearing where the FBI would get involved in this. If it's an SEC violation, then you would report it to the SEC.
I did so. I did report to the SEC. But at the same time, on top of there being, when I filed the SEC, I filed the SEC complaint on their website. They have a whistleblower website, and they have a section in which they talk about the Foreign Corrupt Practice Act. And the Foreign Corrupt Practice Act, the SEC can investigate on this matter, but at the same time, the FBI can investigate too. Usually, they coordinate the different task force together, because the Foreign Corrupt Practice Act violations are being investigated by the FBI. And right now, I'm accusing, basically, because I have notified the very first time I've notified directly the Miss Santana, who is the general counsel of McDonald's. It was in 2013, and in 2013, I've told her very clearly in writing, look, I told her very clearly that I believe this French official had been corrupted one way or another, and there is the due diligence wants that they should at least investigate and make sure that they are not committing a fraud in Europe. Because if the U.S. office knowingly know that they are committing fraud, in this case, it's a violation within the United States of the Foreign Corrupt Practice Act. Yes. I look, madam, I can understand you perfectly. You will have cognitive bias too. You will think it's McDonald's. They must have a good reason. Most likely, I am the one who is mistaken, but I'm telling you, I'm not mistaken here. And I'll give you an example. I've received an email from Miss Santona, who is general counsel, and later I've learned that Miss Santona requested another person within Europe to handle this case. His name is Malcolm Hicks, and he's the general counsel for McDonald's Europe, and he works in the United Kingdom. And Malcolm Hicks sent me an email to tell me that he's going to ask the opinion of a second law firm, and then he will get back to me. This was over a month ago, and he never got back to me. And now he refused to take any or to answer any of my communications. Why do you think the general counsel of McDonald's Europe first told me he will get back to me, and now doesn't? After he told me that he was going to get a second opinion from an independent law firm. Of course, they know they did something wrong. Have you ever heard the saying, "Don't talk, you walk"? And this is exactly what they are doing now. They just keep silent. Otherwise, he would answer me. And I'm telling you, there's something here, and there should be an investigation.
Well, again, sir, I'm not saying that there isn't anything there, but I don't see where it would bring the FBI into it.
Does the FBI investigate Foreign Corrupt Practices Act if there is a violation?
I can look into it, sir, and I've taken down your contact information. But again, I personally don't think it's something that we would get involved in. But if it is something that we need additional information from you on, we've got your information to contact you back.
Yes, but in the very first place, when I filed my initial report, I couldn't send all of the documentations. Maybe you do need the documentations I have to understand fully, don't you? Because,
well, sir, if you're wanting to provide, hear me out, sir. The only way you're going to be able to provide those documentations is by mail. We don't have a way to forward information. We have to protect our systems. We don't accept forwarded documents over the computer.